Sunday, March 1st. Happy March, everybody. And, I've literally been glued to my computer the last 2 hours, so hopefully I'll make some sense. Okay, I just actually busted through a door out in the studio. That was pretty interesting, but that's another story we'll get to after we get to our weather. But first things first, happy March. Okay, and we're talking about meteorological spring. This is a very exciting day. So, meteorologists, we're a little different. Yeah, we can be a little different, but we have our own calendar. So the calendar at home may say March 20th for spring, but March 1st is the day we use. And it basically tells us the coldest 90 days are over with. And I'm thinking our March Madness was in February. Don't you agree? I mean, we had a low of 22, our coldest temperature, as warm as 89, but we did hit 90 in some of the warmer spots. It was just an amazing month. So as we head into March, you ready to take a look outside with me? hmm We deserve it. Chloe, we earned this, right? It's just crystal clear. I mean, look at Jacksonville to Neptune Beach, St. Augustine. We had a little bit of fog this morning, but most of us in Metro Jacks were okay. It was just farther north as you went up into the north side into southeast Georgia with all the big issues. But you look off to the east, oh my goodness. I think it's time to take my wife on a beach walk this afternoon, or you got to do something. I mean, got to get outside. 60 degrees officially, 66 St. Augustine. But as we're getting ready for the beach, we will get out our hoodies, throw on an extra layer, okay, because we are talking about a cooler at the coast. So one of the themes as we go into March now, meteorological spring, as you know, is you'll get these big temperature differences. So these are the average highs for Jacksonville. You see 72 right there? You go to the east, once you cross the intercoastal, I can tell you, yeah, the average highs are not 72 this time of year because you got the chilly ocean. We had 3 months of winter, right? So it's very chilly. And what happens is you get just a wind off that ocean, and it's always cooler at the coast. So it's more like the mid 60s. Subtract about 5 degrees for all of our friends that live out at the beach, okay, in that graphic there. Big dates on this calendar, March 10th. We go to an average high of 73. Look at the top. You can see the golf there, the smileys. Oh, I got a little Easter on there for us. First weekend of April. By Easter, yeah, 77 degrees. March 20th, you see the average high of 75. That's our first day of astronomical spring. Okay, that's the seasons based on the tilt of the Earth and the direct rays of the sun. So it's called astronomical spring, but that's not the true weather spring now, as we know now. We look at April 20th to May 1st. Doesn't get much better. Rocking and rolling into the 80s. So really, we get toward the middle of April. That's when we see highs in the 80s. But this is the time of year we take advantage of here on the First Coast. Oh man, low humidity. We're not in the muggy season. We're not quite in the rainy season, although we're still praying for rain, right? With the extreme drought. We'll talk about that. But overall, things looking pretty. Happy meteorological spring, and it's officially today through May 31st is our end date, and then June 1st as we start hurricane season. That's the official start of hurricane season and our summer season officially in the world of meteorology. So let's look out at the beach. We had some fun on Good Morning Jacksonville as always. We're talking about those cooler temperatures on the sand, and there's your 63 degrees for your high. Northeast winds 10 to 15. Looking forward to that sunset at 626. UV index, all right, this can trick you this time of year. It's 6. It only takes 30 minutes for a sunburn. It's March. That's a high sun angle coming down at us, all right? So make sure if you're especially sensitive to the sun, all right, we're talking about extra sunscreen. And then notice the surfers at 3 to 4 feet for the surf. Still wetsuit time with those 50s out there. And what we're talking about this week are rip currents. No surprise there. A lot of us are not in the water, so it's not one of my big three, but just keep in mind there will be some rip currents throughout the week increasing. And for the boaters, it'll be an issue with some elevated seas. We take a look at our first coast fishing forecast. You saw those numbers flash on the screen. Those were seas at 2 to 3 feet. So it's still a little choppy out there. Captain Alvarez verifying that. Seas 2 to 4 feet. Northeast winds 10 to 15. There's our intercoastal moderate chop for those that are fishing today. Ocean temperature in the 50s. And see that flow? It's what we call an onshore flow. And when we get that here in March, you're going to drop. So you take a drive down, Beach Boulevard, all right? And then you go from 62 at the beach. Then you head west across the intercoastal, and it just gets warmer and more. We get toward I-95. Today, temperatures will be right around 70. And then if you keep going west, All right, just head on I-10 toward areas of McClenny. Some of those areas could be in the mid to upper 70s. So we're talking almost a 20-degree difference between the coast and inland as we head through the afternoon. Pretty amazing. As far as cloud cover, not much out there. Plenty of sunshine to enjoy with those spring breezes. And here it is. Yes, we finally get back to some pictures today. It's been so crazy in February. I haven't been able to show your beautiful smiling faces. So I want to thank Gina for sending this in, Grayson and Walker. So it looks like Grayson got the best catch of all. What a cutie out there. So yeah, send in your beautiful pictures and I love sharing them. So there's our catch of the day. Little Walker, as cute as can be. And then what's biting? Okay, so red drum have been biting out there and the fishing is good. The fish are, things are stirring up out there. We're heading into a full moon phase as we head into this week. So officially it's called the full worm moon. Okay, that'll be on Tuesday. And that tends to get the water moving a little bit more and the fish like that. So good fishing for everybody. And also we got an eclipse coming, a lunar eclipse at least. And we'll talk more about that coming up after the commercial. But first things first, today's highs. There we go. We got the big temperature difference. We said good pickleball at Sawgrass, but folks are going to be dressed differently. In Lake City, you'll probably just have the shorts out, 76. By the time you get to Sawgrass, we've got a little hoodie on, enjoying our day outside at 62. 63 St. Augustine, great day at the Fort, to 73 in Palatka, 77 in Gainesville. And how about those Gators? Just red hot basketball team. And I tell you what, that ranking of number 7 doesn't take into account the last month, or were they on a 9-game winning streak now? And I tried to get a ticket. Tickets are hard to come by. So we'll see. I think they could be in a situation where they may win out as we head into the tournament. And I still think they deservedly should be a number 1 seed, deservedly so. So right now, I think most of the experts have them at 2, but they're playing like a number 1 seed. So that's something we'll watch in Gainesville along with that nice sunny weather today. I think the new AP rankings come out today. They were number 7 officially. Probably moving in the top 5 after last night's win against Arkansas. Heading up to fantastic Fernandina. Oh, yeah, we're hearing from Brenda up there. Gorgeous sunrise today, 64. Brunswick, Jekyll Island, maybe get a little golf in today, mid to upper 60s, and then you head back toward Folkestone and Waycross into the middle 70s. So overall, great pattern. Things to do this afternoon. Okay, we got the Chip It Forward tournament, and we've got our very own Brody out there, but really it's his son that we're going to be really cheering on. He's the star of the show. So the great part is this is for Habitat for Humanity. So if you get a chance to come on down, they still have some openings there. We got, 11 a.m.? So it starts at 1 p.m. And this is a game called Chippo. And they came to our studio in Good Morning Jacksonville. Of course, we were the exclusive morning team that showed you what's going to be going on at the zoo. And then this week, we had the exclusive on this new game called Chippo. I mean, I'm excited. You know, if you like cornhole, it's like cornhole with a golf club, and you've got the lower tier. So you've got the big ring, which would be 3 points if you get the golf ball on. You just chip it right in. The top 2 tiers are 5 points each, and Brody was doing pretty good. So I think Brody and Vandy will have a good chance at bringing home the trophy as we go through Sunday. But it's all for a good cause, right? Charity. So it doesn't get much better with temperatures here downtown. It's 70 degrees by 2 o'clock. And then there's that cool breeze off the ocean at 67 degrees. So maybe a little hot chocolate with you to stay warm as we go through the afternoon. And speaking of staying warm, all right, we've got signs of spring all around the First Coast. We've got Presbyterian visiting UNF. All right, so a rich baseball tradition, the Ospreys. Harmon Stadium, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be great. Dusty Rhodes Field has never looked better. But notice, you know, we talked about that high officially downtown. I showed you that last graphic. Look at the difference here. So we go from the Riverside, Fuller Warren Bridge. There's 70. And look what happens. Yeah, right when you get closer to the coast. That's not even to the beach yet. Low 60s, Lace Mouse going for first pitch. So again, don't be surprised. But if you look at carefully here, let's update that. Okay, first pitch is actually 1 o'clock. So real-time weather data is telling me still it's going to be cooler, mid to upper 60s, but I think we can hold into the 60s through 4 o'clock. That's good news. So maybe head to the baseball game, and then at UNF this evening, that's when we fall into the 50s. There we go. So we got that all updated there for you. But it should be great baseball from Hartman Stadium at UNF all the way down into Lakeland. Of course, we got the Detroit Tigers hosting today, along with the Phillies. I call them the Clearwater Phillies. That's the home of the Phillies there. And look at those temperatures. My goodness, very warm the farther south you go. So we got great baseball weather. You go all the way down towards South Florida and the Nats. So just a reminder, we got spring training in full swing there as you go into Central and South Florida. There's the highs today, and we showed you the highs. Yeah, I mean, look at the Nationals down at Palm Beach Gardens, 77. Fort Myers, we've got two games going on, the Twins and the Red Sox, both in the low 80s. There's the Atlanta Braves with their game with an 80-degree temperature. So really, again, the big contrast we see this time of year, meteorological spring as we started in Florida, east to west, like we saw. I showed you the difference between UNF with 60s, 70s. There you go. And then another contrast we get is from north to south. So we go from literally 80-degree weather in Central Florida. There's Lakeland. And then we go down to just the upper 60s to low 70s toward Jacksonville and low 60s along the coast. So you see how the computer really printing out a little bit of green and yellow there in Northeast Florida. Miami, that's the front that came through yesterday. They'll be the ones that get that pop-up shower or thunderstorm, and hopefully that'll give the Everglades some needed rain with all the big brush fires going on down there. But overall, this is the pattern as we start spring. Beautiful. Lots of sunshine. Look at Atlanta, Georgia, it's 76. Oxford, Mississippi, it's 78. And then Little Rock and Nashville. The one thing that we're going to see set up, though, is we got the ridge of high pressure and control here at home. And then there's going to be a front, a stationary front where you see the green. That could be an area of flooding. Once you get to Nashville, Little Rock this week, Charlotte, check those travel plans. There could be several inches of rain developing. So stormy to the north and very nice here at home. That'll be the story, although we're watching the rip currents, elevated seas, surf, and a little rough on the fishing forecast. Eventually, though, we're looking for some rain in this forecast. The question is, how much will that rain to the north move in here? I can tell you I do have some increasing rain chances, so we'll take a look at that coming up. Chloe, I guess we'll pay some bills here, head to commercial, and we'll come back and talk about the rain. If that's good. Or I can keep going. You know, I don't like stopping. Oh, okay, we can. Okay. Yes, great to be with you, meteorologist Mike Prangley. And of course, today we're thinking of our military, okay, and praying for all of our men and women in service, and we'll continue those prayers coming here on this Sunday. And I appreciate you being with me live, okay, here at 11:17. And we've been talking about spring. It's meteorological spring, a great start to March, and also some temperatures that are really going to start to increase this week. But we need the rain as well with those warmer temperatures. So I've got a whole slate of things to go. We got still another 10 minutes, and you're gonna get a lot of information here. So fluff up that pillow on the couch and just sit back and enjoy. You ready? All right, let's go. All right, drought conditions. Here, this is the first time all 67 counties in Florida have been in a drought on record. Okay, so the question is, let's fill in the blanks here. It's the first time since 2000. That's when our U.S. drought monitor started here. So just keep that in mind. That goes back to 2000, no sooner, but still pretty impressive, right? Since we started this drought monitor. Look at this. We'll just keep expanding that. What a winter it's been for dry weather, really throughout much of the South. As we go through the week, I do think we're going to see some changes. I really do. I think we are going to start to see right in here. I'm going to circle. There could be some big flooding in here, and then this will eventually shift off to the northeast here. So we are going to see some changes in this pattern. It was a La Nina most of the winter. We're starting to see a change in the jet stream. We're seeing the Pacific waters warming now. We're heading into spring, and I do see some hope here for the drought. It'll start to our north and west now. For us, we'll have to be a little bit more patient here. Let's come on back in. Someone come back in here to home. And you can see we're in an extreme drought for most of our area. There's a little sliver of some severe drought. I'm going to keep the maps going now. Now, one thing we have in our favor this week, at least an onshore flow, higher dew points. We'll have to watch for the morning fog. There's today's winds out of the northeast, 10 to 15. Notice how they pick up tomorrow. Maps get lit a bit, right? So more of an east wind, 10 to 15 miles per hour. And that'll eventually, if you're on the coastal areas in the coastal counties, bring in some showers that could water some of the hibiscus this week. Maybe our first chance on Tuesday and then increasing. And then as that wind picks up during the week, some of those showers could reach areas of I-95 and farther west. So things to watch this week. Fire danger stays elevated. I showed you basically the whole area in an extreme drought. All right, so we're going to remember no burning, heat all warnings, and it doesn't look like the fire risk is necessarily extreme at this point, and that would be because of that east wind bringing in a little more moisture and humidity. Notice I said maybe some showers by midweek along the coast. There's Wednesday. All right, and now watch what happens. We get into Thursday, Friday, increase the rain chance a bit. It's not heavy, but it's a change. And there's the flood zone, Dallas to Memphis to Oklahoma City. That's what I'm watching. I'm starting to see some changes to our west that will eventually move our way. And then as we go into next weekend, again, watching that main front setting up from New Orleans to Jackson, Atlanta, you're going to hear about all kinds of flooding from the Midwest, maybe even to the deep South. For us, it's going to take some time. We're going to be in a transition period. We've been just bone dry, and notice most of the week, even though we've got that flow off the ocean, the air is still very dry here. So that's why I'm not so excited about the rain this week. Still more of your very isolated type showers, heaviest along the coast. What we need that graph to get up to, we need that little bump we're seeing Sunday and Monday. That's next Sunday and Monday. I want to get closer to that line that says 1.75 inches. That's when nature tends to squeeze out more moisture. So as we look at our precipitable waters, we're heading in the right direction. Okay, that's the key. Rain chances as well. We go from 10% Monday to 40% Thursday. And then we'll keep them a little bit elevated into the weekend and maybe start to increase that again next week. So on that 7-day forecast, no big drought busters in sight. There's our warmer temperatures. Fire danger elevated, but we do have more moisture to work with, a little more humidity. It's not going to be really humid out there, still feeling good, but look at the 80s come our way by late week into the weekend, 70s Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But what we're seeing in the 10-day forecast, this is what I get excited about. We're going to talk about after the commercial here. We've got a lot going on. We got the Gate River Run. All right, still keeping it warm. And runners, we've been talking about this actually for about 2 to 3 weeks. I expected a very warm Gate River Run, no exception. In fact, I've got that forecast coming up. Spring forward, okay, we do lose an hour of sleep, but to me, we're gaining an hour because it's going to be nice and bright in the evening. It looks like a warm 83 for next Sunday as we turn the clocks forward. And then military appreciation coming in that following Tuesday, March 10th. It's very warm, 82. So coming up right after the break, this will be very short commercial break, we're going to give you the latest on the Gate River Run, fresh information on the Military Appreciation Concert, and talk more about that lunar eclipse and, of course, that extra evening daylight we can all look forward to. Great to be with you. And here we go, meteorologist Mike Prangley. So let's look outside. 63 degrees right now at First Coast News. It's a beautiful start to spring, meteorological spring, and March. We're going to have high temperatures officially in the low 70s. What you need to know. Okay, so if you're heading downtown to cheer on those for Habitat for Humanity, golf tournament, it's called the Chip It Forward. Notice temperatures reaching 70, but watch out for that cool breeze coming in this afternoon. We're looking for rain. We talked about that. Notice not seeing much tonight, a few clouds, a little patchy fog, but the trend is our friend. So there's that east flow, and maybe as we go into Monday, more low to mid 70s. I don't see the temperatures really moving up much to start the work week, not until that wind switches to the southeast. But notice little specks of green to our east. So eventually, by later Tuesday, Wednesday, there's Palm Coast with a shower Tuesday afternoon. We'll start to see at least a few isolated coastal showers. That's totally different than what we've been used to here in this pattern. So spring has sprung in many ways. Let's look at the 10-day forecast, including 80s getting here by Thursday. And don't forget, this is a big week. We've got the springing forward with the clocks on Saturday. We've got the lunar eclipse. It's a total lunar eclipse. So what you have is the Earth going between the moon and the sun. So that's why as we go into Tuesday morning, 6:04 a.m., all right, it's going to be a blood red moon. All right, we're going to be safe. Nothing bad's going to happen here, but let's watch that moon, see how it's orbiting around the Earth. And basically the Earth blocks the sunlight. It scatters that blue light. So you get the red hue over the moon. And usually the stormier it is on Earth, the redder the moon. I think that's pretty interesting. But look to the west. It'll peak at 6:33 a.m. on Tuesday. I'll be here with you on Good Morning Jacksonville and until moon set at 6:52. So it'll really get started around 4:30, 5 o'clock, peaking right around 6:33. Should be a lot of fun. And it's always fun to look at the beautiful skylights with you waking up on GMJ. As far as the extra daylight in the evening, I said, it's not going to feel like we're losing an hour's sleep. Not in my book. Look at that. 7:30 on the sunset as we go into March 8th. That's next Sunday, March 8th. We are turning those clocks forward, and there's your new sun. The only thing is it's a little darker in the morning, so we got to watch for the kids. And we go from 11 hours and 33 minutes of daylight, oh boy, all the way up to 11:46. So we're gaining 13 minutes of official daylight, but in the evening, we're gaining over an hour. Hour and 5 compared to today, thanks to turning the clock forward. Here it is. Everybody's been asking the Gate River Run, so we go that extra mile here on the streaming shows. New information is showing a very warm gate. That's next Saturday, 7 a.m. It'll take place at the Jacksonville shipyards. Could be a little fog. It's going to be soupy. It's going to be humid. Runners, we need to hydrate a day or two. We got to start hydrating, so it's on Saturday, by Thursday night. All right, we don't start the night before. It's going to be very muggy, and the dew points will not be our friends. So the runner index, I gave it a 10 today for the lower dew points on the Gate River Run. We'll have to lower that more to a 7 or 8. So you got to really protect yourself and get that hydration done. Notice we'll start in the 60s, finish in the 70s. Maybe a little fog to start, and then some sunshine with that southeast wind at 10. How about the Players 2026? That's almost upon us. starts on March 10th officially on Tuesday. Military appreciation. We've got the big concert, and look at this. Just a tropical flow out of the southeast. So if we get the showers around 4 o'clock, it won't be at the golf course. It won't be at the stadium course at all, or the 17th green you see there. That would be I-95 to the west. So I'm pretty confident, even if we're heading into a pattern that supports a little bit more